The tragic murder of 17 years old in Tunbridge Wells shocked the whole community in 2006. Terry Edmonds was last seen after she got off a train at Tunbridge Wells railway station on April 17, 2006. Her body was discovered hidden in a green suitcase 12 days later. She had her whole life ahead of her with 8 A-grades GCSEs and aspiration to become a nurse. This is the story of Terry Edmonds, a kind and intelligent 17-year-old girl. Terry Edmonds of Vale in Kent, UK was described as joyful and bright girl who was both amazing and intelligent. She had 8 A-grades GCSEs. She was independent, and when she was 16, she decided to leave family home and she went to live in a Christian Alliance Housing Association hostel in Royal Tunbridge Wells. Her mother Helen said that this was her choice to move out and stand on her own feet, not due to a bad home situation. Terry aspired to become a nurse because she was compassionate, kind and strong. She was too young to start the training at that time, but she planned on going to the Hugh Christie Technology College to make the nursing dream come true. Her mother said she had her whole bright life ahead of her and it was to be a good life with lots of friends. Terry was so well liked, everyone expected great things for her. On April 17, 2006, now 17 years old, Terry had a boyfriend, Nigel, and he was 26 years old, 9 years senior to Terry. He used to live with his mother and sister in Hadlow near Tunbridge. Nigel said he dropped Terry off at 12:20 p.m. that day outside the Pizza Hut in Royal Tunbridge Wells, where he worked. He said he later received a text message from Terry saying she was going to Maidstone, and then second text message saying she was on her way to Tunbridge. He was expecting to meet up with her again later that day. He said, Terry wanted to talk with me about something, but it wasn't bad. We could talk later after work. To meet up with boyfriend Nigel in Royal Tunbridge Wells, Terry had to take the train and she was captured on CCTV getting on the train in Royal Tunbridge Wells at 6:23 p.m. With a population of 55,000 people, Royal Tunbridge Wells is a small town in Kent, England, around 30 miles from central London. The area was described by local as safe and peaceful, and that women could feel very safe walking around at nights. The place had peaceful life and crime doesn't really happen here, so we should expect that 17-year-old Terry to be safe on her journey. But time that Terry and Nigel were to meet came and passed. Nigel began texting Terry to see where she was. It was unusual of her not to respond to text message, especially those from Nigel. The couple could normally texted each other daily, at least hourly. He got no response or no answers from her after sending 20 text messages. Now Nigel's starting to worry. He contacted her mother Helen, and she was also unable to reach her daughter. She made the decision to phone the police, and police started searching for Terry. Nothing immediately turned up. They held a press conference to ask public for assistance. Terry's story shocked the local because for them, this was the first occurrence of any type of crime in that area. It was really very unusual and they are having a hard time to receive it. Royal Tunbridge Wells was meant to be safe. These things didn't really happen here. On April 27, 2006, they released the CCTV footage, Terry in the train station. On that footage, there were several potential witnesses identified by the police. These individuals were all quickly found and were willing to help investigation to move forward. None of these individuals have any information, although police knew Terry arrived at the train station at 6:23 p.m. and then she disappeared. On April 29th, police discovered a suspicious dark green suitcase under a ramp of a car park. When they opened the suitcase, they discovered the unthinkable. Days after she went missing, the search for Terry was over. The body in the suitcase was identified as Terry Edmonds. Mother Helen said in a press conference, "My worst fears came true when I heard that Terry's body had been found. It's every mother's worst nightmare. It changed our family life forever." Paying tribute to Terry, she stressed, "I will never get over losing my beautiful daughter. She was young and clever and had her whole life in front of her. She had lost what she wanted to do. I don't understand how someone could do this to her." She said, "Someone must know who did this. Someone must have a son or a husband or a daughter who knows something, who has been behaving differently since Terry went missing on Easter Monday." According to autopsy report, Terry was raped. She had wounds on her back and she was strangled with a scarf she was wearing. And police was able to determine she was most likely to smudged with a sheet found near the crime scene. The sheet was covered in blood. When they discovered it, they have found Terry's sneaker and a lighter. They sent the items of evidence to be tested by the crime lab. The first suspect they looked into was Terry's boyfriend Nigel. His DNA was found on Terry's body. He was under great suspicion due to being 26 years old. He was arrested in Hadlow on April 30, 2006. He was interviewed by police and his home was searched, which he shared with his mother and sister. However, his colleagues were able to provide a strong alibi for his whereabouts at the time Terry vanished. And after additional testing, police were able to rule him out as a suspect. Police and forensic investigators now looked to Suitcase for evidences and they were able to find a DNA sample from the suitcase handle. Police immediately identified and then brought the owner of that suitcase. The suspects were interviewed by police, revealing a detailed story. The suspect told the police that yes, they did own the suitcase, but they have recently donated the items to Salvation Army. The suspect's story was then investigated and found that it was a weak excuse, but this was checked out. However, police were once again in a dead end. Then investigators returned to the apparent scene of Terry's passing, and they discovered that the car park where her body was found was not a part of her usual route, but sometimes she used it as a shortcut back to the hostel where she lived. After searching CCTV, it showed Terry entering the car park. However, the cameras at the other side of the building did not show her exiting, as it would have been expected. Police therefore deduce that Terry was ended somewhere in the car park. This car park was home to several homeless people. It was relatively unmonitored and gave a source of shelter. Police then go and approached a homeless community sleeping in a parking structure. They asked if any of them had a suitcase, had lost the suitcase, or had even seen a suitcase. They all responded no. However, a police officer then recalled that there was one homeless individual that he knew of that carried his belongings around in a suitcase. They went to men in question and asked him about it. He stated no, he did not have any suitcase, but police knew he was lying. They knew they were on the right track. They once again went and speak with the homeless man. His story changed. He said he had a suitcase which he kept in the stairwell and kept all his clothing, but that suitcase was stolen. Then police decided to arrest him. The man was Philip Bell, 21 years old. He dropped out from school at the age of 15. He worked as a removal man for a short period of time, but then he involved in petty crimes. This escalated and he became a drug dealer of that area and living on the streets. He was living in Royal Tunbridge Wells for nearly 2 years. He was addicted to many illicit and illegal substances. He was at the time of Terry's disappearance. He was addicted to many illicit and illegal substances. He was at the time of Terry's disappearance living in the stairwell of the car park that Terry walked into but never made it out. Forensic investigators discovered Terry's DNA at the basement level of stairs. They now believed that this was the point where Terry was attacked and subsequently passed. Philip denies that he has nothing to do with any allegations regarding Terry. He was not on the stairwell, he had no idea who Terry was, and he had never seen her. These claims were not enough to deter police in their ongoing investigations. Police took his clothing as evidence to try further tie him into the case. Police discovered scratch marks on his trousers and knees, which consisted with the nature of assault. He said it was because of playing football. Strangely, police could confirm he was actually involved in playing football, but other players confirmed that he did not fall on his knees at any point of time. But it was not enough to charge him, and police was forced to grant him bail because they had no physical evidence to charge him. Only circumstantial evidences was there. Police believed Philip is responsible and they needed strong physical evidence to prove it. They began combining through endless hours of CCTVs in search of anything that would help the case. That is when they noticed Philip taking the same path as Terry Edmonds, following closely in the footsteps, entering the car parks moments after she did. An hour later, CCTV footage shows that Philip exiting the car park, but we know Terry never made it out. They noticed Philip wearing a different pair of jeans when he went on the car park and when he exited the car park. Police believe that he changed his jeans after getting Terry's DNA on them, which matches up to Terry's with new evidences and a strong case of August 1st, 2006. Philip was once again detained. He was questioned about why he was in the car park, to which he responded he was never there. Police showed Philip the CCTV footage that showed him entering the car park. Then he simply admitted that yes, he was in the car park. However, Philip claimed that he smoked 7 grams of cannabis, so he is not responsible for what had happened. The analysis showed that he was not under influence of any type of drug and he was not under influence. Police took Philip Hoodie for forensic testing. They discovered blood spots and it was analyzed and came out to be as Terry's blood. They collected his sleeping bags, which showed significant stain that contained Terry's DNA. Finally, they discovered a reproductive fluid on Terry's underwear that matched Philip's DNA. Philip Bell was then charged with first-degree murder. Police suspected that when he noticed Terry taking a shortcut home, he followed her into the car park. Then he tried to seduce her. When she refused, he became enraged and attacked on Terry. After Terry's passing, he assaulted her. He had means of disposal of the body was the suitcase and forced her into the fetal position, stuffed her in the suitcase and dumped her beneath the car park. Philip's trial began at Maidstone Crown Court a year after she was reported missing on April 23rd. He pleaded not guilty and his defense cast a finger at another homeless resident. Trial tested 6 weeks. He pleaded not guilty and his defense cast a finger at another homeless resident. Trial lasted for 6 weeks and jury failed to reach any decision. After that, second trial was started with a new jury on January 10th, 2008. It failed again. So after that, third trial began for the case. This time, after 3 hours, jury came with a verdict and Philip Bell was guilty. He was then sentenced to 28 years in prison. Terry's family was able to finally watch their daughters receive the justice, and that's the case. Please show your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you so much for watching.